everyone. Happy Monday. I hope that you're having a great day and a great week. I'm excited to have Dr. Blair with me. If you've watched very many of my Facebook Lives throughout the year, then you've seen her before. And the reason I invited her back is one, just because I really love doing these interviews with her, to be honest, but also because, one thing that Dr. Blair is so good at is sustainable growth, that she just consistently grows. So if you're watching this now or watch it later, like drop in the comment section about how yummy that sounds, just to have like sustainable, consistent growth month after month after month. So Dr. Blair, welcome. And what can you teach us about sustainable growth?
I mean, it really just comes down to connections and relationships. The more that we can maintain and create new relationships, the more that we're going to have people that are trusting us, that they're going to be then recommending and referring to us. So that's just going to create more appointments, and that's just going to continue to fill up your schedule, because the people they want to help their friends, they want to help their family, and they want to have these amazing and wonderful things that they're having for themselves, for the others around them that they love as well.
Perfectly stated. It's so interesting. I think in the last 4 or 5 coaching calls I've done, it's been like part of the hiccup is the mindset around referrals. And if we see referrals as a sales job, then and I don't see myself as a salesperson, which is just misguided. If you're in business, you're in sales. Even if you're not in business, if you're in a relationship, you're in sales because you sold the person on you, right? And I love your explanation told us so much about your identity, that you see your role and what you do as building relationships and continuing to build relationships and then going back and nurturing them again. And one of the ways in which you build relationships is asking for referrals. So can you remember a time when you kind of felt like about referrals?
Yeah, absolutely.
And walk us through, Blair, how do you go from like turning up your nose about asking for referrals to over here having it as like part of the basis of your sustainable growth?
I mean, it just comes down to what is the best for, what this person needs and what the people that they need around them comes down to. I mean, I got into chiropractic because it helped me and it changed my entire life, and I wanted to be able to help other people see the benefit in that. And somewhere along the way, I think I had forgotten that a little bit and became a little bit scared of asking. But one of the things with training with you and doing a lot of things in the boot camp is we really learn how to frame that and get back to where's our grounded state and what are we coming from. And we're not asking for ourselves and for our practice to continue to grow. We're asking because that's what they need. And that's because that's what our community needs.
Yeah, the context of how we ask for the referral sets sets it up like so beautifully to be exactly what Dr. Blair was just talking about. Like, as where your practice members are going to feel like it's a gift because you're asking them to refer, versus like brace yourself, here she comes again. And one of the distinctions that I heard you say too was asking, like, building relationships isn't a strategy for you, it's a way of being.
Yeah, I think of my practice members as family. The people that come into this office aren't just here for whatever aches, pain, or ailment that brought them in. It's because this is where God brought them to be, and this is where they need to be in their next journey and part of their stepping stones for healing.
Yes. And it's not something like, uh-oh, numbers are low, let's go out and form relationships. It's just part of the ongoing process. So in the boot camp right now, for those of you who don't know, it's our 60-day sprint. And we do 2 of those a year and we love them. And like this is another one of those, like, when God nudges you, just go. And you may not have all the answers. I never do. But in 2020, well, actually, it was in 2019, God nudged me to create a thing called a 90-day sprint. And I thought, like, it'll just be a lot of fun. Like, a lot of us are former athletes and like some competition, and to take our big, huge community of the boot camp and make it smaller into like teams. And so we did it, and we've changed it a lot since in different ways, like our point sheet, and now it's 60 days instead of 90 days. But one thing I will tell you that happens, there's growth, right? And there's also this kind of like proving to ourselves of, I didn't even know I could do that. And so I know that Dr. Blair has participated, I'm pretty sure, in every single one for the last 3 years. And I love that a common side effect is to double your practice. Now, for some, that doubling is new practice members, and others it's revenue, and others it's doubling the size of their team or the number of referral requests or whatever that happens to look like. Like pick a metric that you want to double. When we look at consistent habits, and the fact that you keep growing your business, what impact then does the sprint have on that sustainable growth for you?
The sprint keeps me in check. I mean, it's a great way to make sure that I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing and that we have time that's more individually to be able to do more training so I can make sure that I'm fine tuning and doing the things that need to be doing so that I don't lose track of things or I don't fall off the wayside and just be like, oh, I was doing this and then I forgot about this. It just really helps to keep you on top of everything, and it really gives you a great anchoring point for the beginning of the year and the end of the year to carry you through the middle.
Absolutely. And for me, it's very much about, we all slip and check. Right? Like we all start things and then we get cozy and we stop doing them. And they worked so well, we quit doing them. Right? So I do love that about the boot camp. Like, as a boot camper, you can count on, like, okay, I'm going to get reminded about all of these amazing systems that if I just ran them year round, like, they would make a big difference. But it's great that we have that opportunity to slip and check, because sometimes without it, we can go years and then we're like, it's kind of like putting 5 pounds on a year. Well, 5 pounds isn't a big deal, but if you don't stop that trend, in a few years, it's 50 pounds. Now that looks way different than just 5 pounds, right? So, as we wrap this up, what encouragement do you have for those who are watching who aren't in the boot camp yet? And they're like, yeah, I know I need to do something, but I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough time, or I've done coaching before and it didn't work, and all of those things. What do you have to say about that?
You sound like me before I joined. I had all of the excuses. I had all of the reasons why I didn't need help, why I didn't need the coaching. And my practice wasn't doing well. I wasn't doing well. My mental health was like struggling because I was putting so much emphasis on the fact that my practice wasn't changing. I had done other coaching things like that before, and it like this was just the perfect fit. This is what I needed. It wasn't, so like this has to be this way and this way and this way. I had some flexibility to make it my own, and I had really a lot of opportunity and a lot of great resources to be able to pull from with the tribe, that it just created you know, so many big and different changes in my practice and in my personal life, which has been awesome. I don't think I don't know. I don't know what I'd be doing right now, but it wouldn't be good.
I love something that you just emphasized, was that your practice wasn't doing well. And then that becomes our focal point. It's not doing well. It's not doing well. It's not doing well. Right. And then from a neurological standpoint, we put into our reticular activating system, oh, it's not doing well. And then Our RAS is going to show us, see right there, it's not doing well, and right there, and right there. And sometimes, like that's part of the big, like a huge benefit of being in community is we see other people. Like we don't have just our own practice or our own, problems to focus on, that we're a part of community. And many times when we help somebody else, our practice grows. So I totally agree with that, and just appreciate that you slowed that piece of it down. And I just want to encourage anyone that's watching, like, you're not alone unless you choose to be.
Yes.
You're not alone unless you choose to be. Like, we're here as the boot camp, we're here. And there are lots of ways to engage. I have lots of free stuff, which that's a good start. The boot camp is my flagship coaching program. It is group coaching. And Blair, can you speak to that? Like, even though it's group coaching, do you feel like you've been on your own, or what would you tell people about even my contribution to your life and the rest of the tribe?
Oh, your contribution has been a life changer, that's for sure. Like I said before, all of those excuses, all of those reasons were things that I had played out, I couldn't figure out, and I didn't know. And it was just like, okay, something needs to change. So I figured out how to make it work. I made the financials, shift. And from there, it's just been a huge mentality shift. There's so much stuff on mindset and how our brain works, and being able to kind of clear a lot of that out has shifted so much emotional and like baggage that I had carried on to for so many years. And it doesn't feel, even though it's group coaching, like it doesn't feel like it's group coaching either. There's so many opportunities to connect with you, to be able to ask any kind of questions. You start out every single call with what questions do you have, what things do we need to focus on. And then even within the group coaching, because there's so many opportunities for like meeting in individual groups, it's one on one. There's so many opportunities to do like role playing with one other individual, or be able to like work in small groups so that you can fine tune each other and provide feedback instantaneously.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that we're all helping each other. Just like practice. When we build our practices as communities, then the whole community comes together to help one another, right? It only feels heavy when we're choosing to go it alone. And even in practice, like I remember Richard, I can't remember his last name, but he retired, relatively young, and had, even though he was older, he had a little boy, and his little boy was his life. And his wife still worked. But Richard had quite a bit of time on his hands and loved being a part of our practice. And he was the guy that would like look up articles about, over the counter or prescription drugs or different things, and he'd bring them in. And it was time for us to walk in a parade. And I did that as often as I could. And you know who loved walking in parades the most? Adults. Adults who never got to walk in it when they were a kid, and now like they're adults. And he had like this whole thing planned out with like articles, and he would say, get off the Geritol and on chiropractic, and hand out like stuff. And like he loved to just like be in there and like say hello to people and welcome them, and help them get their bearings and stuff, all stuff that he took on. And obviously we were more than happy for him to kind of like come alongside us and make everyone feel welcomed and loved. And that's what I see happens in our tribe too, is that we're strong because we all participate, we're strong because we all care. And I see that, I got to be in three different boot camp practices over the last 2 weeks, and meeting their practice members and their team members and whatnot. Like it's really cool to see our tribe mentality carry it out in practice as well. So, as we wrap this up, Blair, what final words of advice do you have for the person who um, is telling themselves it'll get better, and yet does really nothing? different?
We need to make the changes. I mean, one of the things that we're doing right now in the sprint is we're listening to Atomic Habits, where they're talking about 1% changes and the impact that those 1% changes make on not only our practice, but our entire lives and how we frame that and how we look at it. And when we give that, enough time, it makes a huge difference. And I would say figure out the things that you're needing to change, join the boot camp, and then work on them.
Yes. Don't think that it just ends once you join the boot camp, right? Now we start the work in community. So yeah, excellent point. And yeah, that book is so great. Like 1% change per day in a year, when you stay consistent, it'll be 37 times better. Like that's pretty amazing. I mean, here we are at the end of another year, and it doesn't seem that long ago. We were at the beginning of 2023. I was just getting used to writing 223 on checks. Yes, I still write checks for those of you who don't write checks. I know it's very old school. I just actually wrote 2 of them today. Um, so to all of you, thanks for joining me. I have a few more Facebook Lives today with other great women and boot campers like Dr. Blair. So check on back. Blair, thank you so much. God bless you. And I'll see you on the Wednesday call.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Bye.